His days were filled with the stench of pig urine. Every day he trudged out to the field where the pigs were, and he flung their food out to them. And every day he reached out to get some of that food. And he'd curl his hand back into a fist and draw it back. He deserved this. He earned this. He told his father, "Dad, I can't wait for you to die. Just give me what I'm going to get when you would die." And his father had done it. Dad had gone and sold half of what he owned and gave it to this young son. And he thanked Dad by leaving. And he wasted all his money, and now he was homeless, he was friendless, he was cashless, and he was surrounded with the stench of pig urine. And then one day he came to himself and he said, "What's wrong with me? My dad's employees have more than enough, and here I am starving to death. This is what I'll do. I'm going to go home. And I'm going to tell Dad, Dad, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I don't deserve to be called your child. Just make me like one of your employees. Just hire me on. Just pay me enough so that I've got enough to eat." And so he decided. And he left. He walked away from the pigs, but he couldn't walk away from the stench. You see, when you work with pigs, after long enough, the stench gets into the pores in your skin, and no matter how badly you scrub, no matter how hard you scrub, you can't get rid of the stench. And as he journeyed, he eventually came to his father's fields, and he looked around and realized he didn't recognize any of the workers. Well, of course not. Dad had to sell half the fields to give him his money. Dad's not still angry about that, is he? And he finally got to his dad's fields, and he looked out over the livestock, and he realized half of it was missing. Well, of course it was. Dad had to sell half the livestock to give him what he wanted. He's not still angry about that, is he? And finally, he topped a hill, and he could see his father's house, and he saw a man running on the road toward him. It was his dad. Of course, Dad was still angry. Of course, he was still so furious he wouldn't even let his estranged son to return to the house. He was coming to get him off his land. And this man, he fell face first in the gravel of the road, and he started calling out, "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I don't deserve to be called your son. Treat me." And just like that, Dad has him up in an embrace. After all he'd done, after everything he had done, in his sweat and in his filth and in his stench, his father embraced him. And they wept together. And finally, Dad stepped back and took him by the shoulders. And he called out to one of the employees, "Quick! Put the veal on! Grab out the wine, the good stuff! Because this son of mine, he was dead and he's alive. He was lost and he's found. Son, welcome home." Here at St. Luke's, this is what we do. We want to welcome you home the way that our God has welcomed us home. And all our filth and everything we've ever done, God still welcomes us. And we want to welcome you. Whether it's to our traditional 9:15 service or our discussion-based refresh service at 6:15 and Sunday evenings, we want to welcome you. Welcome to St. Luke's. Welcome home.